The news at 11 begins with some breaking news about the new coronavirus. Maryland is reporting its first cases. 3 people living in Montgomery County have tested positive for the virus. Good evening, I'm Leslie Foster. Governor Larry Hogan declared a state of emergency tonight, and we're focused on facts, not fear, when it comes to the coronavirus. We know you have questions, so we're going to walk you through what we know. Our team is covering every angle of this story. John Henry and Jess Arnold are in Montgomery County, but we're going to start with Mike Valerio and the latest from Governor Hogan. Mike?
Well, Leslie, first and foremost, the governor's team said the patients are in good health and getting better. They're at home in Montgomery County in self-quarantine, and they were never hospitalized. Governor Hogan identified the 3 people who tested positive as a married couple in their 70s and a woman in her 50s. And here's another important point. The 3 people contracted the novel coronavirus during overseas travel together. They didn't contract it in the United States, and that's according to the state's deputy health secretary. The governor added that he had this message for anybody asking what this all means.
While today's news may seem overwhelming, this is not a reason to panic. Marylanders should go to work or go to school just as they normally do.
Again, the governor said the 3 people are in good condition and a thorough investigation is underway to determine their interactions with the public. Officials said they came back to Maryland on February 20th, but authorities wouldn't say where the 3 Montgomery residents came back from. We also don't know which hospital they visited to hand over samples for testing. Authorities stress that the patient's visit to the hospital was pre-planned and all proper protocols were put in place. The governor did say the 3 have been 100% cooperative and they were well enough to bring themselves to the hospital within the past few days. Leslie?
Yeah, a lot of work is going to be done to determine where they went during that time period. Mike, thank you. We're getting some answers from the Montgomery County Health Department. And Jess Arnold is live in Silver Spring with that part of the story. Hey, Jess.
Hey, Leslie. Yeah, the main message tonight from the Montgomery County Health Officer, Dr. Travis Gales, is do not panic. He said he still believes the risk of contracting the virus is low. Now, he says he does think that they could be up all night investigating these 3 now confirmed COVID-19 cases in the county, looking at what Mike was talking about, some of the contact with people in the area. Like he said, though, he still believes that that risk is low. Now, he said that they were just informed about these cases this afternoon, right after the state lab confirmed those test results. He said, though, that neighbors should take comfort in the fact that officials have linked those cases to overseas travel.
If cases are tied to a travel history versus cases where you've got an individual who hasn't traveled anywhere, hasn't been exposed to anyone who's considered to be high or medium risk based upon their level of exposure and travel history. And so these are 2 very different things. Now, not to say that things may not get to that point, but right now, given that we're able to tie it back to a source that's related to travel history, it gives us a little bit more comfort that it's not something that's just circulating out in the community that has to increase the level of suspicion beyond where it is right now.
Now, he said whatever they find out from that investigation should help inform the county's next steps. But in the meantime, he said, just take the same precautions, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, don't stand too close to people. And he said hopefully they should have some more information for the public at tomorrow's press conference, which is happening at 9 a.m. outside of the county executive building. Leslie?
Everybody's going to be paying attention to that. Just thank you. Parents, we know you're concerned about your kids, and Montgomery County schools will remain open. John Henry is live at the Montgomery County Public School headquarters in Rockville with this part of the story. Hi, John.
Hi, Leslie. Yeah, according to Governor Hogan, one of the first people who was notified by the state about this development tonight was Dr. Jack Smith. He's the superintendent of schools here in Montgomery County. Well, earlier today, Dr. Smith told us this was a situation he and the system had spent weeks preparing for. Well, we now know how the school system will move forward. As you said, school will remain open tomorrow in Montgomery County. Now, we spoke with Montgomery County's chief health officer, Dr. Travis Gales, who was tasked with making that decision on behalf of the schools. And he said, based on the information he has now, he believes the risk of exposure in schools is extremely low. The school system says it has been working with the county's health department on how to handle all matters related to the coronavirus. On top of that, as of now, state health officials say they have no information to suggest the 3 people who tested positive for coronavirus encountered any children.
We don't have indication of that, and that's really a matter of protocol, so that we want to make sure that local officials, whether that's the school superintendent, certainly the elected officials, the health officer, as well as the emergency management officials would know about such an instance. So that was a matter of protocol just for advisory purposes. We don't have any information about any of these individuals having contact with Montgomery County schools or school-aged children at this point.
Now, once again, schools in Montgomery County are remaining open, but the school system also said tonight that as it moves forward, it is preparing for the possibility of school closures in the future should they become necessary. The system did tell us earlier today that it actually already has a plan in place to give out assignments and teacher messages via the internet if that were to occur. From Rockville, John Henry, WUSA9.
All right, John, thank you. And a lot of us rely on Metro to get to work. The Red Line travels right through Montgomery County with more than a dozen stations there. So what is the transit agency doing to keep you safe? Well, Metro tells us it's stepping up the cleaning efforts at the stations, the trains, the buses, and most of the equipment and stations will be cleaned once a week. We talked to an expert who says the best way to stay healthy is, again, to wash your hands as often as possible.
It's just not feasible for the Metro to be cleaning every 5 minutes. And somebody else has been touching it since it was last cleaned, so you're going to have to take responsibility for that. It's unavoidable.
Dr. Milton also says workplaces should consider staggering those start times. That way the rush hour at Metro won't be as crowded. All right, Virginia and D.C., let's talk about you for a minute. Right now, there are no confirmed cases in those areas. D.C. is still waiting for test results on 2 people. Virginia has 3 tests pending. So if you do need a test for the coronavirus, will it cost you a lot of money? Evan Kosloff and the Verify team had that part of our coverage.
As the new strain of coronavirus spreads, so does misinformation. That's why the Verify team is here to get the truth. After all, we're about facts, not fear. This is a post that's gotten thousands of retweets on Twitter. The person wrote that the U.S. is charging over $3,000 per test. So let's verify. Are patients really being charged for the coronavirus test? Our sources for this one are the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the New York State Department of Health, the Food and Drug Administration, and the Kaiser Family Foundation. Let's start with the FDA. They're the ones who approve any testing that's going to be happening here in the U.S. So far, they've given permission to 2 groups, the CDC and the New York Department of Health. The New York Department of Health said that the state of New York is actually covering their costs, and the CDC said they're not aware of any states that are charging to use their tests. So why are some patients facing these high bills?
Hi, my name is Jen Cates.
This is a senior vice president at the Kaiser Family Foundation. She explained what's going on here.
That a lot of people get surprise medical bills and aren't expecting them. So it's not the test, it's the other things surrounding the test.
Things like ambulance costs, doctor fees, or other care at the hospital. So we can verify. False. The test does not cost $3,000. It's free. If you have something that you want verified, send us your question at verify@WUSA9.com.
And right now, several companies are working to create a vaccine, and the military is too. Some of that research is happening at Maryland's Fort Detrick, at Walter Reed, and a lab in Silver Spring. Here's investigative reporter Laura Geller.
It was just 4 days ago the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff stood here and told reporters military researchers were working on a coronavirus vaccine. We immediately asked for interviews to bring you that information, and today those researchers gave us details. We aren't allowed in the Maryland labs just yet, so this is video given to us by the Department of Defense.
Regrettably, because one seems to come, every year or so, we're getting very good at this.
Here's where that work stands right now. Scientists say they are looking into how mice respond to potential vaccines. They're not examining if they protect against COVID-19 yet, but how mice respond to them. Officials believe the earliest they'll have a vaccine for the public is 12 to 18 months. It's complicated, but here's the simplest breakdown.
Think of this as the virus, my fist, it's a sphere, right? And it's got little spokes coming off of it. That makes it the corona. When you look at it on cross-section, it's got that crown look to it. So almost all the vaccine candidates out there are focused on that little spoke.
Once they figure out how to prevent that spoke from attaching to the body, that's what will make for a good vaccine. This is not new research. These scientists were the first to test the Ebola vaccine. Malaria drugs came through here. It hasn't always been easy. Last summer, the CDC shut down the lab at Fort Detrick because of structural defects. The commander says there was never any danger to the community, but changes had to be made, and the lab was restored last month. Now they're able to work the coronavirus at all levels.
We're supporting a whole-of-government approach to detect, prevent, and treat COVID-19.
This isn't just about a vaccine, but also treatment. The general said they are working on an agreement with an industry partner on that aspect. We are working to get you more information on that, and we'll put it in this story on the WUSA9 app and website. At the Pentagon, Laura Geller, WUSA9.
I know this is a lot to process, but the bottom line tonight from all the experts is there is no need to panic. 3 people have tested positive for coronavirus in Montgomery County. They're in good condition, they're getting better, and they're quarantined at home for now. So let me put this into context for you. Tonight, there were 3 cases of coronavirus in the state of Maryland. The most recent state survey shows there are more than 3,000 people who tested positive for the flu in Maryland just a few weeks ago. Now, we're all in this together, and you can count on us to help you understand how these coronavirus cases may impact our area. Remember, it's facts, not fear, that empowers us. We'll be back. Tonight, D.C. Police Chief Peter Newsham is confirming multiple internal investigations into crime underreporting in his own department. The admission came in front of a D.C. Council committee hearing. It also comes on the heels of a WUSA9 investigation into whistleblower allegations that D.C. police supervisors are downgrading crimes to make the city's crime stats look better. Here's Chief Investigative Reporter Eric Flack.
Thursday, D.C. Police Chief Peter Newsham walking into the same D.C. Council chambers 2 of his own officers did in January when they said they were blowing the whistle on crime underreporting in the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department.
I'm a sergeant for the Metropolitan Police Department, and I'm a whistleblower.
In an exclusive interview with WUSA9 Sergeant Charlotte Jassou, a 15-year MPD veteran previously honored for her service by Chief Newsham, detailed claims D.C. police supervisors are ordering investigators to downgrade crime classifications from more serious crimes to less serious ones, all to make the city's crime stats look better. Jassou says internal police documents handed over to council and obtained by WUSA9 proves her case.
It's not okay to lie to the community about what's going on around them.
Under questioning by Councilmember Charles Allen, chairman of the committee that has oversight over MPD, Chief Newsham denied a department-wide effort to downgrade crimes.
We do not have a lot of circumstances where our police officers, in my opinion, are misclassifying reports. It's very unique and specific to the agency. And we're like I said, command officials are acutely aware that they need to ensure that reporting is as accurate as it possibly can be.
But Chief Newsham said it's not unheard of either. We got our hands on this email written by a captain in the 4th District instructing officers to stop using the classification of theft in the 2nd degree where the value of the property stolen is under $25. Instead, the captain said officers should use a charge that you've probably never heard of, taking property without right, which carries a maximum of 3 months in jail rather than the 6-month sentence that could come with a theft charge. Newsham said an internal investigation found just shy of 200 cases in the 4th District ended up with that lesser crime designation, and that the captain who gave the order did it because he thought it was unfair for low-level offenders to face that more serious theft charge.
So the rationale for the decision, I do not think was mean-spirited, and I don't think it was intentional in changing statistics.
After that internal review, Newsham says all those cases that got the lower crime designation were returned to the more serious theft charge. But what about violent offenses? The whistleblowers also handed over cases they say should have been charged as felony assault with a dangerous weapon that were actually classified as misdemeanor simple assault. The chief didn't talk about those cases specifically, but he did tell Councilmember Allen there have been a number of other internal investigations into alleged downgrading of crime classifications within MPD. Now, Chief Newsham said he didn't know the exact number of cases or the details, but he did tell Councilmember Allen his staff was going to pull all the information and get it to him as soon as they could.
Do you have any concerns that there's a pattern of underreporting of crime in MPD to make the numbers look better?
I think the only pattern that we saw was what was reported in the 4th District, and I think we heard the chief and their investigations identify it and then go make changes to it. So I'm not hearing about any other large significant patterns. We would take it very seriously if we had evidence of big patterns.
Chief Newsham says there's always going to be a gray area with some crime classifications, and that part of a supervisor's job is to review how crimes are charged, especially if it's a case handled by a less experienced officer. He said if that officer has a problem with their case being downgraded, it's up to the officer to take it up the chain of command. Eric Fleck, WUSA9.
We are still waiting to learn whether Elizabeth Warren will endorse a candidate for president. Now, 2 days after a disappointing Super Tuesday, the Massachusetts senator announced she was dropping out of the race. Warren said the most difficult part of her decision was the disappointment for young girls who want to see a woman become president. Another woman, fellow Democrat Tulsi Gabbard, is still running, though she trails in the polls. Across Virginia, it is now against the law to discriminate against someone based on the way they wear their hair. When Governor Ralph Northam signed that legislation yesterday, he said this new law especially targets racial discrimination against people who choose to wear their hair in natural styles. Virginia is now the 4th state with such a law. In Maryland, Montgomery County adopted a similar law just last month.
Now, your WUSA9 weather forecast, sponsored by Cox.
One of us is going to go to sleep, and one of us is going to stay up until 2 a.m. for a teeny-weeny chance of seeing a snowflake.
We're talking about
Which
tomorrow
one
night.
of us could it be?
We're talking about tomorrow night. That is probably the best chance, late tomorrow night, to see a snowflake inside the Beltway. And yes, I am crazy enough and deranged enough to stay up that late.
You are.
Yeah, why not? There'll be golf on, so it won't be a total loss. All right, so here's the deal. Here's the radar. The surface low is providing a lot of rain from Raleigh eastward across the coastal plain, North Carolina. This is more of an upper level low out in the Ohio Valley. If they were to phase, in other words, come together as one storm, would have been a snowstorm for us, but they're not going to do that. So one's going to slowly go off to the east. The other one's going to just whip through here tomorrow night. So what does that mean? It's still worthy of a yellow weather alert, especially because it's a Friday. So we're looking at temperatures low 40s to start at the bus stop, and some showers are possible here and there. It's not going to be a rain event everywhere. It's not going to be a continuous rain either. The temps are going to hold generally in the upper 40s tomorrow. We might just barely touch 50 in the immediate metro area. So what does that mean in terms of the next 12 hours? Well, temperatures are going to bottom out low 40s downtown. We're going to try to touch 50 or 51, and then by 6 o'clock, we might even see some sunshine. In fact, we might even see some sunshine at 3 or 4 o'clock. Again, it's not going to be a continuous rain. If we add up all the rain that's heading our way, it's very little, less than 1/3 of an inch. It's the timing that's the problem. And it's also going to be March-like tomorrow. We haven't had very many March-like or winter-like days this year. So in terms of the impacts, wet morning commute, wet evening commute, moderate, and then power outages very low. There'll be a little bit of wind tomorrow. Low visibility, possible, but very brief with the showers roll through. So temperatures, we went 50 tomorrow. 52 on Saturday, and then low 60s on Sunday. Great rebound for the weekend. And then near 70 on Monday and near 70 again on Tuesday. With those temps will come the chance for some showers and some rain, but that's kind of a small price to pay, really. So yellow weather alert tomorrow. Wet commutes are possible, but again, I want to emphasize far from a washout, and the best chance of flakes in the metro will be late at night tomorrow. You folks west of the divide will have snow by noon, and you folks maybe far north as Frederick could have some snow by noon as well. Weekend, chilly, and then warmer on Sunday. So we're looking at temperatures. We're looking at snowfall, so we'll put this into motion by midnight tomorrow, so Saturday. Nothing in the metro, a little bit of snow to the northeast, and there's where all the snow is, west of the divide. In fact, a good weekend to go skiing, and then by 7 a.m. on Saturday, maybe a little bit of snow just north of us, maybe as close as Howard County, but again, a couple wet snowflakes are still possible inside the Beltway. So 50 tomorrow, yellow weather alert, 52 on Saturday, and then nice 63 on Sunday. So Monday, not bad, partly cloudy near 70. We'll keep it dry, but then showers come in Tuesday, more showers Wednesday, cooler on Thursday with more rain late, temperatures in the mid-50s.
Listen, football is a tough sport. When you take a hit, you get hurt. You want to know you've got the best person out there to help you get better.
Yeah, and one of those best persons doesn't really want to stick around. The Redskins, they're allowing Trent Williams to seek a trade. What the 7-time Pro Bowler told me that confirms he's not coming back, y'all.
WUSA9 Sports with Darren Haynes, sponsored by Xfinity.
Trent Williams confirms to me the Redskins have given permission for him to seek a trade. Williams says, quote, "I am relieved at this point." The 7-time Pro Bowler held out from the Redskins over his frustration with how the team's medical staff handled a recent health issue. Trent says he was diagnosed with cancer on his head and that he almost died. Williams is entering the final year of his 5-year deal, $68 million contract. Now, there have been teams already interested in Trent Williams, and clearly Trent is not interested in staying in D.C. The only question is now, what will the Redskins get in return? What's on your mind about Trent Williams and the Redskins? Hit me up on social media at Darren M. Haynes. This is what happened to the Capitals tonight. Rangers' Mika Zibanejad. He scored 5 goals, and I'm not making that up, 5 goals to beat the Caps 6-5 in overtime. Zibanejad becomes the first NHL player to score 5 goals, with the 5th goal being the overtime goal winner since Sergei Fedorov did it 23 years ago against who, y'all? The Capitals. Todd Reardon, tell me how you feel.
You have to be aware a guy that's already scored 4 goals against you doesn't get behind you. So disappointed in some areas, that's for sure.
AU's dreams of going to the NCAA tournament are over. Saeed Nelson was honored before the game for becoming the school's all-time leading scorer, but Bucknell proved otherwise. They ruined that night. Eagles lose to the Bison 64-59, ending their season.
You want to play until, you can't play anymore, and, we felt like this was the year we had the team to, make it to the tournament. But, I mean, it's rough.
All right, Leslie Topper, one of these two stories gotta go. Which one you gonna go with? Guns or goggles?
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 Goggles.
All right. We're going with goggles then. All right. Terps Jalen Smith, he moved one step closer to not one, but 2 awards. The Terp star was named a finalist for the Carmelone Award, which is given to the nation's top power forward, and a semifinalist for the Naismith Trophy. That goes to the nation's Player of the Year. So one word for that, beast. When Jalen Smith puts on those goggles, the dude plays like a beast. 20 double-doubles this season, tied for 3rd most in the country, makes 56% of his shots. That's the best in the Big Ten Conference. And the dude's only a sophomore, y'all. One of the main reasons why Maryland's ranked in the top 10 is because of Jalen Smith's beast-like numbers, and that's why beast is my one word.
Trying to get it to him. Jonas James gets it to him again. Here's Snacks with 3. Snacks busted. Snacks.
I remember my man Snacks, Jackson State's team manager, hit a 3-pointer in his first game and it went viral. The SWAC named him Player of the Week, and now Prince George's County's own Kevin Durant is hooking him up. Durant sent Snacks an autographed jersey. Snacks says he's been calling himself Fat Durant for years. Leslie's sneezing, and I'm thinking you're laughing.
I was coughing.
Were you laughing or coughing?
I was laughing and coughing at the same time. I kept thinking.
You're laughing at Fat Durant?
Why didn't he send him snacks too? It only seemed appropriate, right?
Because Snacks had too many snacks. You don't need no more snacks.
You are in trouble. And we'll be right back. All right, we brought a lot to you tonight, but we're here in this together. Thanks for staying up with us. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is next. Have a great night.